Hey everyone, today I'm recapping a 2025 horror slasher film called Fear Street, Prom Queen. Let's get started. The movie begins with a young teenage girl named Lori Granger narrating her own story. She tells us that people always said she was bound to end up in a bad way, that her last name was cursed, and that she'd either be dead or a killer before graduation. And in a way, she guesses they were right. Once her voice fades, the scene shifts to 2 days earlier, where everything started, in a place called Shadyside. According to Lori, this is where the future crawls to die. Unlike their perfect neighbors in Sunnyvale, Shadyside is kind of a mess. People believe the town is cursed, that something gets inside people and makes them snap. And not everyone wants to be known for that. Prom is just around the corner, and 6 girls, including Lori, are running for prom queen. It's supposed to be a way to show off the new Shadyside, but honestly, not everyone cares that much. During class, a group of students throws a cruel joke at Lori, just to mess with her. Suddenly, Megan, Lori's best friend, stands up, furious. She pulls a knife from her bag and slices her hand open. The whole room is left in shock. Turns out, Megan was just trying to scare them, teach them a lesson. But it backfires. She's sent straight to the principal's office. Later, Lori and Megan talk about the whole thing. And of course, prom. They both hope to find a great dress for Lori. Since Lori needs money for hers, she heads to her job at the school cafeteria that evening. While working, she spots her classmates, including Tiffany and her boyfriend, Tyler Torres, who happens to be Lori's crush. Lori serves them, but Tiffany catches Tyler staring back at her. Not happy, Tiffany starts mocking Lori again. After they leave, Tyler comes back alone to grab his clothes. Lori helps him, and the two end up talking about old memories from their childhood. Later that night, we see Lori at home. Her mom clearly isn't a fan of her joining the prom. It brings back some painful memories. Meanwhile, over at Tiffany's house, she tries on her prom dress. Her parents are thrilled, convinced she's going to win. Right then, Melissa drops by, asking to borrow a dress for prom. The two head upstairs to party the night away. Elsewhere, another girl, Christy, is dropped off by her boyfriend. They say goodbye, and she starts walking home alone. Suddenly, she hears footsteps behind her. Curious, she stops and turns to see what it is. Out of nowhere, a man in a red jacket appears, holding an axe. Before she can even react, he swings. Christy is killed. The next day at school, all the prom queen candidates are called for rehearsals. Since Christy isn't there, she gets disqualified. The rest of the girls go on pretending everything's normal, while Lori still feels like an outsider. As she stands alone, the vice principal comes over and encourages her. She tells her this could be her moment to shine. And just when things seem to be going okay, Tiffany appears. She pulls Lori aside, and with venom in her voice, she warns her, "Don't ruin our prom, like your mother ruined hers." The scene then shifts to Megan, looking everywhere for Christy, who still has Megan's prom sash. But Christy's boyfriend doesn't know where she is either. Meanwhile, the killer is shown in an unknown location. He opens a yearbook and crosses out Christy's face. Then, he burns all of her belongings. The next day, preparations for prom night are in full swing. As Lori puts on her dress, her mother walks in to encourage her. She opens up to Lori, telling her how, on the night of her own prom, she was accused of killing her husband. Later that evening, Lori and Megan arrive at prom together. And when the time comes, all the contestants are called on stage to address the crowd, right before voting begins around 11 p.m. for prom king and queen. There's a presentation segment where the girls perform in themed outfits, but Lori isn't included. She stands out awkwardly in her regular dress, while the others dance in matching costumes. Feeling left out and embarrassed, Lori rushes off stage and finds Megan. She vents to her, upset that no one even noticed she was up there. Elsewhere, Linda and her prom date Bobby head upstairs to grab the rest of their flyers. When they arrive, they see the flyers have been destroyed. Someone's messed with them. Just then, they hear footsteps. Linda goes to check it out. Sure, it's the person responsible. But when she returns, Bobby is horrified. Linda is bleeding heavily from her stomach. Panicked, Bobby tries to run, but the killer catches him. After a brutal struggle, the killer slices off both of Bobby's hands. Bobby manages to escape, but can't open the locked door in time. The killer finishes the job. Bobby is dead. Meanwhile, back at the party, no one has any idea what's happening. Lori, trying to shake off the earlier embarrassment, is deep in conversation with Tyler. Things seem to be going well, until a loud scream cuts through the music. People gather around a bowl. Inside it is a head, but not a real one. It's just a mannequin. Still, the scare sends everyone into panic mode. And when they realize it was another one of Megan's tricks, they're furious. She tried to prank the crowd, but it almost ruined the night. Lori, clearly upset, confronts her. Megan tries to defend herself, saying she only did it because of how the girls treated her. But Lori's had enough. She tells Megan she just wanted to win prom queen and change her story. Megan apologizes quietly and leaves. Elsewhere, Judd, who's Debbie's prom date, tells her he has a gift for her. He suggests they go to the basement for some privacy. Meanwhile, the vice principal tells Lori that there's a delivery for her outside. Back in the basement, Judd gives Debbie a necklace. She loves it, and he helps her put it on. Outside, Lori receives her package. It's a bouquet of flowers, but there's no name on the card. Back in the basement, Debbie and Judd are chatting when they hear a rattling sound. They shrug it off, thinking it's just a rat. But then, the killer strikes. He appears out of nowhere and slashes off Judd's head in a single brutal move. Debbie stands frozen. Then she starts screaming, completely horrified. Fortunately, Megan heard the scream from where she was. Meanwhile, poor Debbie, still in shock, ran straight into a cluster of exposed wires and was electrocuted to death on the spot. Just like that, the number of prom queen contestants dropped to 3. Back at the party, Lori was heading inside when she ran into Tiffany and Melissa. Tiffany, still burning with jealousy, accused Lori of eyeing her boyfriend. But when she saw Lori holding a fresh bouquet of flowers, her anger exploded. She started mocking Lori, even throwing shade at her mother's tragic past. Lori walked away, furious. Melissa, clearly uncomfortable with Tiffany's behavior, followed Lori. She caught up with her outside and offered a small bag of makeup, hoping to lift her spirits. Lori, touched by the gesture, returned to the party, now looking radiant with her fresh makeover. The moment she stepped back inside, all eyes were on her. Tiffany noticed the attention and grew even more irritated, especially seeing Melissa by Lori's side. She stormed over, and after a few sharp words, Tiffany poured her drink all over Melissa's dress. Furious, Melissa left to change. Just then, a dance competition began between Lori and Tiffany. Lori stole the spotlight. Cheers erupted from the crowd, fueling Tiffany's rage. In the meantime, Melissa was alone in the closet, changing her dress, when she suddenly noticed a strange man silently staring at her. At first, she thought it was just one of Megan's pranks, but something about him felt off. Her smile faded. Her instincts kicked in. Terrified, Melissa turned and ran, only to crash into another man. When she looked back, she was stabbed. Her blood soaked the closet floor, leaving only 2 prom queen contestants alive, Lori and Tiffany. Back at the party, no one suspected a thing, and the voting time began. Meanwhile, Tyler kept glancing at Lori from across the room, clearly impressed by how she was shining tonight. Tiffany noticed his attention and didn't like it one bit. She confronted Tyler, asking about their future together and their plans. With a sharp warning, she told him if he ever fooled her, this would be the end for him. But Tyler, now head over heels for Lori, simply shook his head and said, "We're done." Then, without another word, he walked away. As Megan chatted with a friend, Spider, she caught sight of someone wearing a red dress, someone who didn't belong. She rushed over, but no one was there, vanished. She felt something wasn't right. Meanwhile, the looks between Tyler and Lori grew more intense, each glance saying more than words ever could. Unable to hold back any longer, Tyler finally walked up to her. After exchanging a few soft words, the two leaned in for a kiss. But just then, Megan rushed in, completely out of breath and clearly shaken. She interrupted the moment and tried to warn Lori, explaining that most of the other prom contestants had suddenly gone missing. She believed something sinister was happening at prom, but Lori didn't want to hear it. She was finally living her dream, being seen, admired, even spending time with her crush. The disagreement quickly turned into a fight. Megan walked away, hurt. Lori, meanwhile, was led upstairs by Tyler. Alone, Tyler made a move on Lori, but she wasn't in the mood, still upset about her fallout with Megan. And then, out of nowhere, stab! Tyler was attacked from behind. Blood spilled, Lori screamed, and ran. Down in the basement, Megan was searching for answers and found them in the worst way. lifeless bodies. Scattered, cold, she screamed in horror. As Lori fled, she crossed paths with Megan. The two girls ran together, desperate to escape the nightmare unfolding around them. The killer was right behind. They dove into a nearby room, locking the door behind them. For a moment, silence. Outside, the killer crept closer, but he wasn't able to see them. When the killer finally left the room, and Lori and Megan wasted no time, they dashed through the hallways until they found themselves in a strange room. On the walls, they saw their prom yearbook, faces crossed out, one after another. The tension was unbearable. Suddenly, the killer appeared, easily slipping through the door with an axe. But just in the nick of time, Lori and Megan escaped through a window and sprinted back to the party, desperate to warn everyone. Just then, the principal took the stage and announced the prom queen. It was Lori. Lori heads to stage, but before she could say a word about the danger, the killer burst into the ceremony. He slashes a girl's leg, then cuts into a man's neck before heading straight for the stage. Without hesitation, the killer chops off the principal's arm like it was nothing. The crowd panicked, but the killer's eyes were locked on Lori, ready to finish her off. Then Megan leapt in to save her, fighting with everything she had. The killer turned his fury on Megan, but Lori, in a desperate move, stabbed the attacker in the face with the prom crown. The chaos paused, everyone catching their breath. And then the ultimate twist. The killer was revealed. It was Tiffany's dad. He confessed, saying he did it all because he knew how much his daughter wanted that crown. He believed no one would remember anything but the winner. The room went silent, shocked to its core. Before they could process, the police arrived, breaking up the nightmare. Later that night, Lori apologized to Megan for how she'd acted earlier. Megan, injured but alive, was taken to the hospital. The police then asked Tiffany's mother to come down to the station to give a statement and said they'd drop Tiffany off at home. Lori offered to go with her, and Tiffany agreed. On the way, Tiffany apologized for everything that happened, and Lori just told her to take it easy. After they got to the house, Tiffany asked Lori to stay with her for a while, at least until her mom came back. Meanwhile, back at the station, Tiffany's mom insisted on going home. She told the sheriff her daughter had been through enough and needed her mother right now. Considering the chaos of the night, they eventually let her go. But once she got home, her real intentions started to show. With a knife in her hand, Tiffany's mother quietly made her way toward the bedroom. Lori, hearing a strange noise, got up to check and froze at what she saw. Tiffany showed up moments later, just as startled. Both of them bolted into another room and hid inside a closet. But then, something shifted. Tiffany's tone suddenly turned cold, almost unrecognizable. She looked straight at Lori and said she wanted to kill her too. Then, without warning, she pulled a knife from her pocket and lunged. In pure panic, Lori burst out and ran for the door. But just as she got there, Tiffany's mother grabbed her from behind. They cornered her, ready to finish what they started. And then, in a terrifying confession, Tiffany's mother revealed the truth. She was the one who killed Lori's father, blaming her mom because she stole the prom queen title. But the slip-up was her downfall. In the heat of the moment, Lori shoved Tiffany, who tumbled down the stairs with a scream. Shock rippled through the house. A brutal chase broke out. In the struggle, Lori grabbed an award from the archive and struck Tiffany's mother's head, ending the nightmare once and for all. Dazed and shaken, Lori stumbled out of the house. And in that moment of silence and chaos, she finally accepted who she truly was, Lori Granger. In the mid-credits scene, we see Nancy lying on the ground, blood streaming from her head injury. Her blood begins to pool on the carpet, forming the witch's mark, also known as the devil's mark. This directly references the Fear Street trilogy and suggests that Nancy might be linked to the Good family, who struck a deal with the devil to maintain Sunnyvale's prosperity by sacrificing Shadysiders. What did you think of this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.